So never knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to work in a lab. I didn't want to stay at university and teach. Once you see something that you admire so much, it kind of limits you a little bit.
Oh, this looks safe. Like walk into someone's garage.
I didn't even care. I was like, I just want it tattooed.
Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm Lloyd and this is a 21st century tattoo. Lovely stuff, Megan. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. I've wanted to get you on for a long time, so what we're going to do, we'll start with the guest question as we do with all of the episodes. Okay. And the question that was left for you by the previous guest was, do you think you would still be tattooing if Instagram didn't exist?
Yes.
You would?
Without a doubt. Instagram is just a tool for us to get more clients, more exposure. But it's, the love of tattooing is here. It's not on Instagram. It's not on social media. It's just a tool that gets people through the door. But I would definitely 100%, I would be tattooing. Even if I got rid of all my social media and went and live in a jungle, I would still be tattooing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't care about exposure. As long as I've got people coming in and liking my work and being happy with what I produce, I don't care.
Yeah, that's what it's about. 100%. I said this, I had this conversation the other day, and it's like, even if I get to 40, 50, I'll still want a tattoo,
Absolutely.
I don't want to be one of those old timers, but the passion for it and how much I love the art form itself, do you know what I mean? I'll always want to do it. I mean, how important would you say social media is in general for nowadays for getting clients?
Very, especially nowadays, I feel like, because before it was you would go on Google and see what shops are around, but now no one really uses any platforms apart from Instagram to find artists. At the beginning, I was very curious where my clients were coming from, so I would ask everyone, how did you find out about me? 90% was Instagram. I do have TikTok, which I don't really use that much.
I've just really started to make an effort on TikTok, and it sounds,
because we have to go with the flow, don't we? But I feel like
completely different audience to Instagram, I think.
Definitely. And I think people don't really look for inspiration or artists on TikTok because it's just silly little videos that kill time. Whenever we just scroll through. Whereas when you go on Instagram and you're like, cool, I'm interested in tattoos in this area. So you just go through all the artists, you go through their portfolios, but you can't really do that on TikTok.
No, it's
you
more...
You could do a slideshow or...
It's just tailored to keeping people's interest up.
Yeah.
That's what I like about Instagram, is it's more of a showcase. But I was having this conversation with Loz on the previous episode, and it's like, if Instagram was to disappear, what would happen to the industry itself? We would all still tattoo and continue to tattoo, but I don't know, I
think if Instagram was to disappear, there would be another platform like this straight away. I think it won't disappear unless someone comes up with something even better. You can post longer videos, you can post different stuff, I don't know, something more. But unless that happens, I don't really see Instagram just going anywhere. It's too big.
Yeah.
It's too big and it's too useful for people. It's honestly, I find so many things on Instagram. Hairdressers, nail technicians. It's kind of like, if you're in art industry, this is your prime source of getting clients, I feel like. Yeah. Especially now. Because before it was Facebook and then it was all the other social media, but now it's just Instagram.
And it's evolving, definitely.
Yeah. And even when people find me on TikTok, through TikTok, they go on my Instagram.
Yeah.
So still, I think 90% of my clients go through Instagram.
It's all exposure, isn't it? I mean, I had a client in today who found me through the podcast, and I've obviously not been doing that this long. So it's crazy to think, people are actually they are watching, they are listening. I guess all you've got to do is just put your
just do your best.
Do your best and like your most authentic work in it, I guess.
Absolutely.
So what I want to know is why tattooing?
I've got a very unique story.
Okay.
So I was never into art. My uncle is a painter. My mum draws maps, so her attention to detail is insane. So I think I've got something in me that I was drawn to art, but I was never really like properly introduced to art. So since I was very young, I focused on science, and I wanted to understand it, and I wanted to know how everything works, and I was just so consumed by it. That's what I focused on in school. That's what I focused on at uni. But I also never knew what I wanted to do. I knew that I didn't want to work in a lab. I didn't want to stay at university and teach. So I was never really driven to do anything with what I've been studying. That was quite scary. The only thing I knew was that I wanted to leave home. I wanted to leave Poland because I felt like it wasn't as open as I would like it to be. If there's anything out of ordinary, you get stared at, you get picked at, and it just wasn't the environment that I wanted to live in. So from very young age, I knew that I wanted to move to London, and I wanted to move to London because I had so many friends here, and I would come here for a weekend or a couple of days, and it seemed like such a fun place.
Yeah. Because
I would come here with lots of money and just a little vacation, so I loved it. And when I finished uni, I've decided, cool, I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna move. I literally moved here with nothing. I had like £20 that I changed back at home in my pocket. Me and my other friend from my university, we found a very cheap flat. It was basically everyone's story starting in London. We tried all the jobs that we could have: retail, bars, restaurants, coffee shop, you name it. We've done it all. We shared a room that was pretty much the size of this room, and it was two of us.
Really?
We slept on the same bed for a year.
Where in London?
King's Cross.
Okay, wow. Okay.
But like King's Cross, like proper King's Cross. We would walk out 2 minutes, we were at the station. So it was super central. So we lived in Central, we worked in Central. I've gone through absolutely every job that I possibly could have, but I was never happy because it wasn't my dream. It wasn't something that I really like truly cared about. It was just a chore to wake up in the morning, go and do my job, and then just waiting for a day off, and I hated that.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's not the way to live.
I've had jobs like that, yeah.
It's not the way to live, and you kind of deep inside you know that it's not going to be forever. It's just temporary. So you don't really care that much because it's not yours and you're not going to stay here for long. So after a very, very long time of like jumping from a job to job, I got a job at a tattoo studio as a manager through a friend. And unfortunately, it wasn't a good studio. It was run by someone who didn't care about this stuff. It was just, it wasn't a nice place to work. So I felt like from working my ass off, I found this opportunity, but unfortunately it's even worse than my previous jobs.
Really? Even though you were in the industry at the time? Okay.
No, I wasn't tattooing then, but I started getting tattooed since I was 18.
Yeah.
So I was really into like tattooing, body art, and when the job came to me, I was like, it's easy money, it's a great job, I love people within the industry. Like everyone just seemed so happy and so free, so I loved it. And I was just managing, so I wasn't doing I wasn't tattooing, I was setting up, I was doing bookings. I've not held a machine in my life. And because of how bad we were treated as a whole, all staff, I've just had enough. At first, because it was a couple of years ago, I told myself, like, maybe you're just very delicate. Maybe you just take it too personally. It's in my head. It was the industry run predominantly by men. And being a woman, I felt very vulnerable in that environment. So I tried to stick out as long as I could, which was about a year. And then I just had enough. I reached a point in my head that I can't be treated like this anymore. Within a split second, I thought to myself, I'm leaving. But I didn't want to leave just leave without word, and then for another person to be in my position experiencing exactly the same.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, I'm not going to let this go. And I looked around the shop, and instantly in my head, I'm going to start tattooing. And in my head, it was kind of my last straw. I was like, if this works out, then great. But if it doesn't, I'm going to go home. I'm tired. I've had enough. So I didn't want to learn from anyone. I kind of had this mindset that whatever people can tell me, it's already been done. So whatever advice they were giving me, I was like, it's fine. I'm going to figure it out myself. And I tried to focus just on very technical stuff. So for the 2 months that kind of I created my apprenticeship, it was literally me just going on YouTube, seeing how to run a machine, how it works, how the mechanism works in the machine. And after 2 months of like really deep research, I started just tattooing fake skin. And then I tattooed myself because I was too scared to start with someone. So I tattooed myself, which was a very good lesson. Like you can feel how it's just such a good lesson.
Yeah.
It's such a weird experience because you're inflicting yourself pain, but then at the same time, you know how deep you need to go with your needle, how you run it, how it feels on the skin. And the first time I touched the skin with the needle, it was like magic. I was like, God, I feel like Harry Potter with a wand.
Yeah.
I just loved it. Straight away, I loved it. So I pushed myself to my limits. It was the hardest and busiest time of my life, but I wanted to do it myself, completely myself. Anytime I had advice, I tried not to listen.
Why was that, do you think?
Because I really wanted to be recognizable. I didn't want to be I wanted to be an artist rather than tattooist. I wanted people to come to me for what I've drawn and for my ideas rather than just wanting something on their skin. And also I felt like whatever people have learned and whatever they put their experience on the skin, if I do the same, it's going to look the same. I was like, I'm gonna do my way because no one's done it my way yet.
Yeah.
And basically, it just started from there. I left the studio that I was at. I had basically nothing in my portfolio. I started a little Instagram with my little drawings. I've tattooed about 5 or 6 very close friends. And in my head, I thought, I was like, I think I'm ready. I think I'm ready to take the dive. So I left. And then I was like, cool, now what? So I've reached out to all the shops in London, all the shops you can imagine. And because I wasn't really consistent with the style and I didn't really have much, everyone just said no.
Yeah.
And also when they asked for experience, I was like, well, 2 months. So everyone just waved goodbye. And when I met Miles, he just saw something in me. He was just creating the shop and he just liked what I did. So he basically gave me a scene. He was like, cool, let's try it. Let's see where it goes. And I was so determined. Like my love for tattooing was just insane. And just when I was ready to start, we went into full lockdown.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I was really hungry, and I think I've worked here for about 2 months before we went into lockdown, so it was pretty much nothing. My first studio, first me at first ever tattooing people.
Felt like it was about to all
Yeah,
get
and I was so
going.
hungry. I was so excited. And then we went to full lockdown for about 2 years. So in that time, I thought, cool, I'm gonna try and work on my Instagram, and I'm gonna do what I've always wanted to do. I'm gonna draw so people can book for what I've drawn. And that's exactly what I did. That's when I came up with all the like pink stuff on my Instagram and all the sparkles and all that. Because I really wanted people to go on my Instagram. I want it to be happy. I wanted people to like look at it and smile, you know, just something very friendly. And also when I sat down and I was like, cool, so what do I want to draw? What do I want to tattoo? Because I didn't have a style. I just tattooed everything that went through the door. And my first thought was, because like I said, my mum used to be very anti-tattoo. So in my head, I was like, I'm going to do something that my mum likes. That's what I want.
Okay.
I want her to love it as much as I do. Like, I want her to see why I love it. And that's why I came up with like very feminine designs, very, very like delicate and intricate. And it like reminded me working with her, doing like little things on the maps and stuff. And then when we came back to work, I got more people for the designs that I've drawn. And the more clients I had, the more I had to post. The more I had to post, the more clients I got for similar stuff.
Yeah.
And from then, it just skyrocketed. Took off so quickly. And literally, I don't treat it as work. Like, money is a bonus for me. I love meeting people. I love seeing their faces when they look in the mirror. It gives me so much pleasure. And the lines are just my weakness. It's like my therapy. I don't think I could ever do like very solid black work as much as I love it. And I pretty much don't have any fine line on me. I prefer like very bold stuff. But when I do them, it's like I'm in trance.
Yeah.
Building lines and making them perfect. And every single tattoo I do, I keep hearing my mum's voice. Megan, if it's not perfect, it's not done. And that's literally the rule I live by.
Yeah.
So I never had anyone to learn from. I never had a normal apprenticeship like I heard. Because I've heard a lot of people saying that it takes a really long time. Because it's up to who you're learning from for them to let you then tattoo.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that. I was like, why would anyone tell me when I should start? Like, I should do it myself.
Yeah.
So in that sense, I'm completely self-taught, and it was literally just a glimpse of a moment that I was like, cool, I'm going to tattoo.
Yeah.
And I was super lucky that was where my love was. That was literally my calling. So lucky.
Yeah. It's a crazy story to hear, to go from having like that passion for science. I think quite obviously you already had that like inbuilt passion for art, probably coming from your mum, I think, with a kind of a background in maps and all of that sort of drawing. That obviously really shines through. There's a lot of people, I think, have this conception that if you're self-taught, you're not a proper artist. If you didn't go through the years and years of being an apprentice and working in a shop, but obviously kind of all of your experiences have all culminated to that. It's crazy, like, for you to say that you've learned and picked those bits up just off your own back through YouTube, was it? And picking up those things. It's
just
like,
anything that I could find on the internet.
Yeah, and to have developed your style like that is mad. I mean, I guess I want to know like why that style. I mean, like you say, that kind of that developing that feminine style. Which is your client base? Would you say is predominantly female?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do get men sometimes, but it's mostly for slightly bigger pieces, slightly bolder pieces, well, bold for my style. So it's slightly thicker lines. But I would say 90%, if not more, it's women.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Do you have any regrets from that journey and starting that journey and getting into tattooing to where you are today? I mean, what are we talking? How long have you been in the industry now?
if we're not counting lockdown, almost 2 years.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to see that, how quick that's kind of...
Yeah.
And the work is so like refined, it seems. You know, your line work is so crisp. I'll ask you a bit later on about how you kind of build those lines and what equipment and stuff you're using. But yeah, do you have any regrets? Is there anything that you'd maybe wish you'd done on that journey?
Absolutely none. Because if I've done anything differently, I don't know where I would be. Every experience, good or bad, it's led me to where I am now, and I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
All the good clients, all the bad clients, all the experiences that I had from my previous studio, all the mistakes that I made, I wouldn't change it for the world, because I wouldn't learn.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be happy. I'm grateful for everything that happened, the bad, the good, because now I'm here and I know that it was worth it.
Yeah.
No matter how bad it got at any point, I'm here. So
did you learn from anyone? Is there any kind of real inspirations for that tattooing? I mean, I know you said you met Miles and got into the industry that way. Did he spend time with you, or did you literally have that? That was all
I was
yourself?
literally shown the bed, and I was told to do my thing. So I didn't really, because I wasn't in the industry for that long, I didn't really have any inspirations. I had artists that I liked the work of, that I would like to get tattooed on me as a client. But I never had that mindset of an artist thinking what direction I want to go into. I think that was about when we went to lockdown, when I started drawing. I started searching and researching fine line artists. Like, I wanted to see what's around the area. I wanted to see what's in studios nearby, and that's when I sort of picked up how many amazing artists you get.
Yeah. Especially around here, there's so many.
So many, yeah. Literally, it's studio after studio, and people are getting so good. The machines are getting better. The equipment is getting better, and like, if you really love it, it's gonna show.
Yeah.
And I think all the artists that are so like successful, and you look at their work, you can see how much love got into that. You can see when it's sloppy, you can see when it's not.
Yeah. And the hours, it's like, it's experience and just tattoo. It's just the experience, isn't it? It's hours of tattooing that you need to refine that style.
Absolutely.
And that's what I find so impressive, is how quick you look to have refined that style. I mean, where would you say you draw your most inspiration from for the pieces themselves?
So when I thought of like, what do I want to do? What kind of theme do I want to have? I always had my mum in my mind.
Yeah.
So I was like, what does my mum like? Flowers. Cool, I'm going to do something with flowers. So I started doing little flowers, but then I was like, there's so many people doing flowers.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can invent anything else, because I've seen them done so beautifully. And I think once you see something that you admire so much, it kind of limits you a little bit, because your mindset is telling you, well, you're not going to get that good. So I tried to stay away from, like, first I drew my flash and then I started researching. So it was basically just, cool, so what do I do with flowers? And then I was like, what else can I do to make it a little bit different? And that's why I came up with women. And I was like, what if I do just women with flowers? And then it's sort of like, I sort of started playing around on my iPad. I started like placing the flowers behind and next to it. And then I think I started drawing the hair, and I was like, I don't like it. I drew it one way and I drew it another way, and I don't like it. I was like, what if I did flowers as hair?
Yeah.
And that's how it started, really.
Yeah.
I'm still developing. I'm still learning. I feel like my style, as defined as it is, it kind of go into little turns here and there. So it changes a little bit.
Yeah. But that will happen, obviously, throughout the journey of it.
Absolutely.
You quite clearly place quite an emphasis on creating unique pieces. Like, you obviously speak about not wanting to do the same as what other people are doing. I could see through your Instagram that you've had some pieces like copied and stolen. How do you deal with that? Because I feel like nowadays with so many tattoo artists, or tattooists, there are definitely some people that replicate work. What are your thoughts on that?
When I never go and search for it myself. Whenever I find out about this, it's through my clients. So I've got such loyal clients that I couldn't be luckier. The first one that I saw kind of got me. Like, I felt it. I was angry, and I was like, what? How would anyone do that? It's just stealing.
Especially when you work so hard to create something unique for that person.
Absolutely.
That's what they should be. They should be one-offs. And to then create a duplicate, like, dilutes the whole concept.
And the thing that got me was, under every copy, it was said that it was custom. And that's just lying to people, because clients are going to come to you for something similar.
Yeah.
But you can't draw it because you've not drawn this. So I don't get mad anymore. I'm confident in my skills to the point that I know no one's going to replicate it like I do. No one's going to do it the same way. And I'm very glad that it shows, because I get a lot of messages from friends, from clients, saying, oh, I've seen a tattoo that you drawn, but I don't think it was done by you. I could see that it wasn't. Yeah. And I'm really glad that it shows, because everyone's got a different hand, everyone's got a different touch, everyone you can do the same line, but it's going to look different from every artist.
Yeah.
And also, whoever copies me, they, in every single one of my pieces, even the flash that I put out, I always make little changes to make it custom. So there's like a little hidden symbol, or there's a birth flower, or I've combined the flowers that meant something for someone.
Exactly. So it is so unique, yeah.
It is very. And whoever copies it, well, they're going to walk around with an initial in there that they have no idea about. They're going to walk around with my client's mum's favourite flowers, you know? So, I mean, I'm not really bothered. I try to focus my energy on the people that come to me, and I want to give them all my energy and you know, focus on that instead of just dwelling on that someone, you know, tattooed this for money. I've approached a person once, and then anytime it happened, I just let it go.
Yeah. Because it's too late by that point, isn't it?
Exactly. It's too late, and it's just a waste of your energy to argue, because these people are not going to understand.
Yeah.
If they've copied once, they're going to copy again. And yeah, it's just it's very
it's a shame.
pointless.
It's a shame. I think there's a lot of people suffer with it, you know, and it's just one of those things. But like you say, there will still be people doing it, and there's nothing you can do. Like you say, you can't waste your energy on things like that.
Absolutely. And I've also seen a lot of copies from the artists that I love, and I know they're copies. You can tell.
Yeah.
Even if you're a client who knows nothing about tattooing, you can tell that it looks different. It's different line way, different. Everything's different.
100%.
So yeah, even when I see copies of other people that I admire, I'm like, why would the original artist get mad? It's so horrible. Like, they have their magic in their hands, and whoever's taking money for their designs, they're not going to do it justice.
Yeah.
So I don't really pay attention to it. When someone sends it, I'm like, oh, another one.
It's a shame. Well, I mean, it's a very mature attitude. I mean, I'd probably be. I mean, if anything, I'd probably be more upset for the client. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that hit me a lot when I saw something that I knew was done for a person. I knew it was a special piece, and I remember the story behind the piece. And then I see it on someone else, and I just feel bad that, you know, someone loved this piece so much, and it meant so much to them, and now someone else walks around with it, but no one's going to have the same one. And I've got beautiful clients, and there was one person that it was such a custom design. It just screamed custom. It was exactly what she wanted. There were so many hidden gems in there. And she was the one that found a copy.
Okay.
And I didn't even think about this artist. I didn't think about the copy. I just felt so bad that, something that she really wanted is on someone else. But straight away, before I had to say it, she said, I don't care. I don't care, because it was the whole experience. It was the fact that I met you, that we created it ourselves. Because it's always teamwork with designs, with sizes, with placements. It's always teamwork. It's never just an artist's job. So yeah, she was. I don't care. You've given me the best experience, and whatever they've got something that I love.
Yeah.
So it's twice as much love.
Yeah, no, I love that.
So yeah, I don't. Since then, I just don't care.
Yeah, no, good for you. That's the way it should be. If you talk about like creating, designing flash pieces, how many? I'm quite interested to know. Like, a lot of your designs, would you say you design them and then people choose them, or what's the kind of percentage of kind of creating pieces that are based on a story or an emotion, and things that people are just literally designs and flash that you?
So at first, it was pretty much all custom.
Yeah.
When I started posting flash, I had a couple pieces that people booked that was like, I'm coming to work and I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't have to change anything. I've got it ready. But it was just a couple of people, and there was pretty much 80% of what I did after was people would give me a brief description and they were like, in your style. And to this day, it's always, there's a brief description, in your style.
Yeah.
And I kind of got the gist of what people want and what people like to see. And I just go with the flow. I'm like, cool, I've done so many of these, so I'm going to do more of these. So then I put that on Flash. But I would say I'm really trying to draw so much that I only do Flash, because you, as an artist, you know that when you do something that you love, you're so passionate about it. You go to work and like, I can't wait to tattoo this. It's going to be so sick. Like, you think about posting it, you think about...
Oh, from the moment you get the inquiry through, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I think it's like 50-50 with custom and Flash designs. And sometimes with Flash designs, I absolutely don't mind changing little things and like keeping the same concept. Sometimes people reach out and then I really like this, but instead of the sun, can we do a moon? Or instead of this flower, can we do this flower? So like the concept is there, and I'm very happy to make little changes to make it personalized.
Yeah.
But more and more I get people that just love the ready pieces that I put on.
Yeah, nice.
And it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Something that like 100% came out of your brain and is on someone's skin forever. It's amazing.
Yeah, a testament to your work, you know. What is the most important element, would you say, to tattooing as a whole?
Just love it.
To love it. To love what you do. To love it.
To be passionate. Not to lose yourself among all the unimportant things. If whatever job it is, if you really love it, you're going to be amazing at it. No matter how long it's going to take you to practice, no matter how long it's going to take you to be great at what you do, if you love it, you're going to get there.
Yeah. Sooner
or later, you're going to get there.
So what could you say to someone who is maybe stuck in a job that they don't love?
Leave.
Yeah, this is it. You've obviously gone through many different jobs, then going into being a manager in a tattoo studio, not enjoying that. Like, it takes a certain kind of strength and determination to leave that and search for something else and keep taking the rejection. So yeah, what's the advice?
Leave the job that you hate. Don't do stuff that you don't love, because that is what's making you hate your life. When you leave your job, like I would say maybe try and figure out what you really want to do and then do a little research. see what you can do to pursue that dream. But definitely don't try and stick it out, because I've tried. And that just turns your days, your weeks, your months into like this horrible, like, you just feel like you're in a funk. You live for the weekend, you live for that drink on a Friday night, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is that your life should be a Friday night. You should enjoy every single day. So if you don't love your job, quit. Follow your passion, because no matter what you put your finger on, if you're passionate about it and if you've got love, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get there. No matter how much you're struggling, you're always gonna get there if you're really driven.
And it shows, you know.
It does take it takes it out of you. It takes a lot of strength to like go through that transition period. It's always stressful. It's always going to be stressful. You stress about money, you stress about, especially in London, it's so expensive that most of the people just bring their wage home and they pay rent, they pay the bills, and they're left with nothing.
Yeah, it's working to live. That's one of the things that I find so sad when I speak to people and I ask them maybe what they do, and the response is, well, you know, it pays the bills. And I can't fathom it, because you spend so much of your time working that it doesn't make sense to me to do something that you don't enjoy. Now, I understand that then most people would then come back and say, well, I don't know what my passion is. I haven't got something that I can do. You know, we are very lucky to have found it. It's luck, and it's also hard work, because it's a process of elimination, you know, kind of trying that, no, that's not for me. Trying that, no, that's not for me.
Exactly. And I feel if you're not sure what you want to do, try everything. Try everything, and you're going to find what you love. And once you do, whether it's cooking, cleaning, it can be anything. If you love it, you're going to have an amazing life. And every day is going to feel like the weekend.
Yeah, and take the risk.
Absolutely. If your gut is telling you that's a good thing, but you're scared, do it.
Yeah.
Push for the fear, because I mean, we can live comfortably, but then it's just boring and comfortable. If you don't take risks, then you're not going to get anywhere. Yeah. So, yeah, my advice is just do the things that you love. Stop doing the things that you don't enjoy, because that's making you feel bad. Yeah.
100%. I think you have to, it's the goal is happiness, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Absolutely. That's the whole point of life.
Exactly. We were having this conversation, you know, and that would probably be my answer, you know, is to feel like you never work a day in your life, and to be happy at the end of the day. When you were growing up, when you were younger, what were you told that success would be? And do you feel like you've achieved success?
I've achieved success the day that my mum started following me on Instagram.
Started following you on Instagram.
I was so happy. I think it was because she was so against it that I made it my goal to make something that she's gonna love. And in my eyes, it was, I'm gonna be successful if she likes it. But when I was growing up, I never thought that I really wanted to be successful. I never wanted to be a star. I never wanted to like swim in money. I just wanted to find that passion, because I was surrounded by people that worked with passion. My mum absolutely loves her little maps. My uncle loves painting, and everyone in my family kind of...
Such an artistic background, it's crazy.
Yeah. And like everyone in my family kind of is very driven by their work. So for me, it wasn't really, I really want money. I really want a big house. I want a pool. I want, you know, interviews. I want to go on a red carpet. It was never, that wasn't really my view of success. It was just to do what makes me happy, because everyone around me was so happy.
And you feel like there's maybe an element of you wanted to make your mom happy as well.
Absolutely.
Where do you think that comes from, that desire to make her happy?
I love her so much, and I want her to, like, it was very hard for me to break the news and tell her that, look, I'm doing something that you absolutely don't approve of, and I'm this is my way of living now. And she knew that if I'm in this industry, I'm going to get more myself. She never like looked down on people having tattoos, but it was the issue that I had tattoos. And I don't know, it was always since my first one, which was when I was 18. I was always very, maybe not scared, but kind of like ashamed of having them when I was around her, and I felt the need to like cover up. And I don't know, to me it was like, if she's going to know and she's going to approve, that's going to give me so much freedom, because then I can share everything with her, and that's literally where I am now. She messages me every day saying, "Oh my God, I love what you did," and it just makes me so happy. I made it. You mentioned that you'd finally given her a tattoo as well. Yes.
When was that, and what was it?
That was just before we went into lockdown, I believe. I waited with telling her until I had a job at the studio, because I knew that my mum would literally imagine me just in a basement with a dirty machine without gloves, scabbing people. So I wanted to tell her after she could come in here, see that it's all clean, see that people are coming out happy. And there was one time when she was meant to come and visit, and she messaged me saying, "Oh, do you have any free time?" I didn't know what she meant, and I was like, what do you mean? So, "Oh, maybe you could squeeze me for one." I was like, "Excuse me?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know, maybe if you've got time." I was like, I've got all the time in the world. Yeah,
let's do it.
But I still thought that she was just saying that. She just wanted to be nice. And then when she came here, I was off, so I cleared my whole calendar. And she's like, what about that tattoo?" I was still shocked. I was like, "What? Let's do it. What do you want?" So she ended up getting a little lavender spring, like a very lavender spring at this side of her arm. And it was because I've always been an anxious child, and our house was always filled with lavender oils, lavender candles. Everywhere is lavender to like make me calm. So she wanted,
like the perfect tattoo.
Exactly.
And it was in your style.
Yes. It was in my style. She loves it, and she keeps saying that's her favourite piece of jewellery that she owns.
If you've got a picture as well, we're gonna put that on the screen for you.
Yeah, I've got it on Instagram actually.
Yeah. We'll make sure that's showing up on the screen.
Oh, it's so good. She didn't flinch at all. She wasn't scared of the pain. She was just like, "Just do it."
Stressful though, tattooing your mother.
It's so much pressure. Cause
I don't think my mum would never ask me for a tattoo because she's very against them. Well, I don't know because it's my career.
With your career.
Yeah, I mean, I think she always wanted, or I say she, like my mum, my mother and my father, I think they always wanted me to go down the academic route.
As parents do.
Yeah, looked at like medicine.
Yeah.
Dentistry. I didn't do well enough for it, really.
Because it wasn't your passion.
No, it wasn't. Art was the only thing I ever enjoyed, and I felt like I was only good at. And I got to that point where, and it took me a while, like how old was I? I mean, yeah, I'd come out of uni and I'd worked for like 3 years before I finally plucked up the courage to be like, I'm actually going to pursue my dream, And at that point, that was like the best decision I ever made.
Exactly, and that's what you said about like the advice for people that are in a job that they don't like. Best decision of your life. Same with me, and it's same as going to be with every other person.
Yeah, I was in that trap though, of thinking, well, this is safe, and I'll stick it out. It might get better. Yeah. Like you said, no, it's
you just
almost always it won't. Yeah, of course you do.
Like, we're gonna die one day. What are we waiting for?
Exactly.
Just do it. Do what you love.
Yeah, for sure.
You're just wasting time.
Yeah. So true. I think now, like, it's my job, and I don't think she likes to see the tattoos on me, but it makes me happy. So I'd hope that makes her happy to know that I'm happy, Not that she's ever actually said that to me.
I mean, there is no chance in the world that a mum doesn't want to see her child happy. And that's also what my mum told me. I mean, she's always said it. She's like, if you're happy, then I'm happy. But it was always like, if you're happy, I'm happy, but I'm not happy.
Yeah, but I'm not happy about it.
Yeah. But now I feel like she just really let it go, because the love that I have for it, she sees it. She's like, I've never seen you so happy. So like, why would I be mad that you do something that you love?
There you go.
So yeah.
Love it. What I want to do now is I want you to talk me through some of your pieces.
Okay.
Because so many people keep asking me, can you ask them about their own tattoos?
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
how many, like, percentage-wise, coverage on yourself?
This arm is almost full. This one is I do have gaps everywhere. I do have quite a lot of space on my legs. I've got the whole back free.
Yeah.
The whole front free. So I kind of like started with the most visible places. But I'm not gonna lie, I used to love getting tattooed, and I used to do it like so regularly because it's so addictive. Like once you get one, there's no way that you're not gonna get another one. My mum wants another one.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No one ever gets one.
No one.
Ever.
Because once you know that it's not that bad and it makes you so happy, I'm gonna do it again. So I used to get tattooed a lot. And then when I started tattooing, I realised it gives me so much more joy to tattoo people rather than getting tattooed.
Yeah. So it's finding the time as well.
And the times. And we work with so many artists and we just don't have time.
It's a shame, isn't it? For like, we're in the industry and it's like, I'm working with all of these cool artists. I'm like, I want to get something, but it never happens.
The amount of artists that I want to book in with and I just don't have time to email. But you just focus on what you love, and you know, when I see a beautiful piece, I'm like, I would love to tattoo it. It's never I would love to have it on me. I would love to tattoo it on someone. Yeah.
Talk me through some of these then. So this kind of, you got like a black and grey realism sleeve.
Yes. So that started with Kurt Cobain. I'm really into my music. So the whole arm is dedicated to musicians. With this one, that's a story. So I had something else that I got in someone's house. Okay. Like it was one of the first. It was my second one. And you know, you live, you learn. I knew nothing, so I didn't know if someone's a tattooist but they don't work at the studio, they're probably not that good. It didn't even cross my mind. I just wanted it right now, right here, right now. So I got something that I hated.
Oh, this looks safe. Like walk into someone's like garage.
I didn't even care. I was like, I just want a tattoo. So I got something and I wasn't happy. I wasn't at all happy, and it added to my stress that it was so visible. It was right on my forearm and I had to hide it from my mum. Oh man. It was awful.
So you had it covered?
Yes.
What was it?
So it was like a symbol, but it was like a symbol that was on the album cover of one of my favourite bands. But it was done so badly that I've actually met the band and I've actually worked with them for a little while, and they had no idea that was their logo. Really? So I was like, wow, that's got to go.
Yeah, that needs to come off. But so what is it? It's a colour?
So basically, I covered it with something even worse. Because I went to another friend, to another house, because I wanted it gone so bad, and I didn't care what it was.
From the first time.
I didn't. No, I needed 2 lessons. So I covered it with something so dark because it had the outline was so bold that it had to be super dark. So it was like a black and blue rose. And the artist that I had it done with, she's an amazing artist, but we had to compromise so much that it didn't look good. It wasn't what I wanted. So after covering my arm with that big black blob, I finally decided to get lasered. So I went through the laser process. And from having my very cheap tattoo, it turned out to be the most expensive tattoo I've ever got. Yeah. So that
was the third lesson.
That was the third lesson. And after lasering it completely off, I was very lucky that one of the artists, is called Amanda. She came from New York, and she moved here. She was kind of here temporarily when she was opening her own studio. And I absolutely loved her like floral work. So she was kind enough to cover this whole arm. So I can finally look at my arms and not be like, oh, I want it gone, gone. I've got a lot of portraits on me actually. I've got a lot of like film themed tattoos. I just get whatever like kind of makes me happy. If I like a film, and I know with portraits I'm trying to be very careful, because I actually have a big portrait of Johnny Depp as Crybaby.
Oh really?
Which I absolutely love. But when the whole thing came out with the...
Did you watch all that trial?
Oh yeah, I couldn't stop.
I tried to keep off it because it was a bit... There was a lot going on.
Do you know why I watched it? It was literally like a Netflix show. I was like, I can't believe this is real.
Well, they were all in the studio. They were all like, our piercer was on it. She was like watching it the whole. This is funny.
It was so funny. But in my head, I was constantly, please let him be innocent. I can't get through laser on this. It's massive. It's like almost my entire calf.
So what's next? Is there any particular artist that you would really love to get a piece of work from?
So many.
Yeah.
There's so many. I want a script from this person. I want
Let's have your top three.
Piece from this person. Constantine. I can't pronounce his surname. Noskos.
Okay.
He is based in America. He used to be a guest here. He's absolutely amazing. I love how he turns tattooing into art. His whole Instagram is playing with lights, playing with like body parts. It's so artsy, it's so beautiful, and not only that, his work is beautiful. It's very fine. But with artists, I feel like I don't really have any like idea. If I like an artist, I'm so happy to choose something that they want to do.
Just let them get on with it.
Yeah, because they know what they're best at.
But you know as well as me, when someone comes to you with and gives you complete free reign, it almost throws me off, and I'm like, I need some kind of...
Oh, you definitely need something, because when clients are too open, you just don't know what to do. I can do a microwave, or I can do a flower lady. Like, what do you want?
Yeah, it can be literally anything. Or why don't we combine the two?
Yeah.
So I've got a question for you that I wrote down. Is there anything that you find particularly difficult to capture in your continuous or line work style?
Oh, that's a very good question. Logic. I find it very hard with especially the designs that are done with one line, where you kind of don't see that it's been stopped at any point. I find that I have to do so many options before I get it right, because one line in the wrong place and it just throws the whole thing off. It's so abstract.
What's the most difficult thing to capture in that?
Faces.
Yeah.
I would say faces. When I do animals, it's also just everything that happens on the face, because you have to connect everything, and you have to do it smartly, otherwise it looks like a mess or it looks too boring.
And how do you go about designing that? Are you sketching that on paper? Are you an iPad user? Do you kind of draw it in pencil and draft it? How do you do it?
I would love to draw more on paper, but I just don't have time, so I always use my iPad because it's so easy. I usually, when I get an inquiry for a certain theme, and I get given like certain flowers that they want to include, or a certain pose that they want to include, I usually don't look at any other designs. I go straight for the pictures. So I have loads and loads of photos of flowers on my phone that I just take daily. And when someone wants a flower, I'm like, cool, I've got a really sick photo of this flower, and I'll just outline the flower. And then once I have it outlined, I'll just play with the thicknesses. I'll play with doing the double lines. I'll play with a little bit of shading, and it's so much fun. And all of a sudden, I'm having fun, and I'm like, wow, it's done.
And it's done. And the client's happy.
And the client's happy.
You're happy.
But yeah, I do get a lot of, as every artist, I think, when you send a design and they, like clients want to change loads of stuff, it's completely fine. I absolutely don't mind changing, but it does throw you off a little bit, because you know that might not really work that well, but you want to keep the client satisfied. So
how do you deal with that? Like, do you tend to draw your bits up in advance, send them the draft? I think I saw on your Instagram you kind of try and get it sent over the night before.
Always.
Always. Do you ever leave it to the day to show them?
No.
just in case of that, and they would need to change it?
I think it's just my very deep-seated anxiety. When I first started here, I did 2 walk-in appointments, and I absolutely hated it. I hated the experience, because to me, someone comes in and they're like, "Oh, cool, I want this," and in my head, they're gonna get it done. I'm gonna do it. They're gonna walk out and I'm like, "What the fuck did I just do? Like, why did I get that?" So I love coming into work, knowing what I'm gonna do.
They know what they're getting.
They know what they're getting, and obviously on the day, if they want like small little changes, that's absolutely fine. But I have the overall idea, even if it's a little sketch, and I don't really have time to make it perfect, like do all the little shadings and stuff. I just send a very rough sketch. Like, is that what you had in mind? Because obviously we have something in our brain, but it might not translate as to what the client will want. So I can draw one flower in 4 different like stages, or 4 different ways that the client might like. So I also most of the time I include like 3 options for clients, and that I find makes it a lot easier, because when they have 3 different ones, they kind of pick and choose what they want. So all I need to do after is just piece that together.
Yeah. So that begs the question for me, something that I struggle with. How do you find the time?
I go home and I draw. And then, I draw all the time. I watch TV and I draw. I don't read, but I listen to audiobooks and I draw. Or I take my dog for a walk. I'll have a little sit down on the grass and I draw. So I always I'm organized in my mind to know what I'm doing in advance. Like, I know what I'm doing next week. I already know what designs I'm doing. And on my day off, I'm going to tell myself I'm going to spend this amount of time on that person's design, this amount of time on that person's design. But I never kind of pressure myself. Because we do get that block sometimes. You can't avoid it. We can't be creative 24/7.
Yeah, of course. And how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that creative block? Do you ever have that once you're in work, or you kind of feel so comfortable knowing what you're going to do that you don't necessarily suffer with it?
So not when I'm tattooing. When I'm tattooing, I'm so confident. I know that if even I make a mistake, I know how to fix it. I'm super chilled. But with drawing, I feel like you have to take it easy on yourself. If you sit and you just can't get anything out of your brain to that paper, just put it down. Go for a walk. Do something that you love doing. Get yourself in that positive mindset. And it's helped me so much, because I used to force myself to draw. I used to have certain times, and I would be so expecting of myself to do it. Like, I have to finish it. I have to do it now, because then I have to do something else. And that pressure just adds to the stress.
Yeah, it does.
And completely. The stress just adds to you not knowing what to do.
Yeah, but it's never going to be conducive to creativity at all.
Exactly. And, our clients also need to understand that sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you need to go for a walk and send that design 2 hours later. But it's going to be good.
Yeah.
So I would say, just honestly, whenever you feel like there's nothing in your brain, or you can't translate what you're trying to, just take a break. Just put it down, take a break. Try not to think about it. What I do sometimes is, when I know what I'm doing, like, I know my appointments for next week, and like, I don't know, I sit and watch TV and I'm like, oh, what can I do for this? And you kind of plant that in your brain, and then I have so many ideas coming. I'm like, oh, I could do this, I could do this. And then, I don't know, I go do some shopping and I'm like, oh, I could do this. And it's constantly in my head. Yeah,
so, just drawing inspiration from everywhere, yeah. And I guess that's just like being a natural creative, isn't it? Yeah,
because I don't want to do something that's already been done, so it has to come from me. So I have loads of like little sketches here and there that don't really make any sense. They only make sense to me because I'm like, oh, I know this was the idea that I wanted to use. This was the idea. I was like, oh, maybe I can do it this way. And then when you sit to draw, you have so many options.
Yeah.
And it makes it so easy rather than try not to think about it. Because if you love it, you're going to think about it. But if you hate your job, you try not to think. So when I was really tired and I was like, oh, I just don't want to think about it. Like, this is my time. And then I would sit at 9, 10 at night to draw and I'm stuck. I've got nothing in my head. I've got like one idea and it's like, neither here nor there. But if I sit on it and I imagine it, what it could look like, I know the area that I'm tattooing and I know what's going to make it flow.
Yeah.
It's so much easier.
100%. I feel, for me as well, personally, I almost feel like that it comes to you when you're least expecting it.
Exactly.
But I'm struggling, yeah, you have to take yourself away. Like, I'll be in the shower and I'm like, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's those moments almost when you're when you're like, or when you're driving, or when you're kind of like doing something on autopilot, that's when your brain rests. And then you can almost then
or when you do
clearly.
Something that you like, because then, you know,
yeah, it's not forced.
Your brain's happy, your brain's creative, your mind's like at peace. You're not rushing, you're not overthinking.
Yeah.
And it just comes to you. Because, you know, it's just...
I think like today, like in the 21st century, like in the middle of London, it's so hard. I think it must be so hard to find that calm and that peace, you know. Do you have any methods for doing that? Do you meditate? Any wellness, like mindfulness, practice anything like that?
So I used to not think. I used to think that doesn't work. I used to think that meditation, like yoga, like that doesn't do anything. Bullshit. It does. It makes such a difference. I meditate every night. When I'm really stressed, I'm literally going to take 10 minutes, do a very quick guided meditation, and it just clears your mind. Walks, definitely. I'm very, very lucky that I have very like big fields and forests around me. And I have my little dog that I can walk, so it gives me it makes me so happy to see him happy, and then at the same time I'm in nature, and it just fuels your soul. Yeah,
you have to do that, you know, otherwise you will burn out, like working. Absolutely. The temptation is to just work constantly. Even when you live in the area where you have no parks, get on that train, get on that bus, go to a park, sit on the grass, look at the sky, like whatever makes you happy. If you like cycling, go cycling. If you like skating, go skating. If you like, I don't know, having a salmon sandwich, do that. Do whatever makes you happy. And that's going to get your mind going. Yeah. Especially when I lived in King's Cross, I remember I wouldn't see a park for like a year. I wouldn't. I would just pass little trees here and there. And you don't realise it. It made me so miserable. No. It's awful. It's just like grey life. So yeah, you have to take that time for yourself. 100%. Exactly. If you want to make it colourful, you have to be happy. So just do what makes you happy. Yeah. Always works. I love that underlying theme. It's so true. I couldn't agree more. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Cool. I guess there's just a couple of other little bits that I want to ask you, which I try and make sure I ask all of the guests. First thing, to satisfy my inner tattoo nerd, I want to know what equipment you use. So in terms of like machine, I think I saw a Spectra Zion, is that right? Yes. Is that what you're using? I'm using Spectra Flux. I had Spectra Zion before this one. Okay. I've heard good things about that Flux as well. Really liked it. It was a really good machine, but the thing is that I had to have because I use it wireless. I find the wireless machines are so easy to use. You can bend it all the ways that you need. Yeah. It's so much more hygienic because you don't have all the wires lying around. I couldn't agree more. Like being tied to the station almost, you know? Whereas like if you're doing like something on the neck, or especially like a tricky area, head end, or you know, if you need to move around the bed, like you can literally so much more freedom. Game changer. Yeah. I feel like everyone was like, it feels like wireless machines, that technology has been around for forever, but it seems like it's only just appeared in the tattoo industry.
Yeah,
which doesn't make any sense, you know.
And a lot of my clients are very surprised. They're like, "Oh, where are the wires?"
Yeah,
because it just goes so.
But it makes so much sense to have it wireless, and I don't know why it wasn't like that before.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what about needle groupings and stuff?
With needles, I use whatever I have. Like I don't care. I do have my favourites. With like the very, very intricate ones, I usually use Killer Ink. I just find that
I rate them. They're sharp as well.
The sharpest lines that you can do, I think. But I'm not really fast, honestly. If I rocked up the studio and I don't have my needles or I don't have my machine, maybe with a machine I would be like, but if I don't have my needles, I'm like, cool, I worked with a mag. I lined stuff with a mag when I didn't have a liner. So it's also like, it's really good to learn to adapt. Yeah. It's really good not to get used to like, oh, this needle makes me really good. No, it doesn't. You're running this. It's just the needle. I get these questions loads, like what machine do you use? What needles do you use? But honestly, I don't really mind what I'm using. But with a machine, definitely, wireless is the way to go. The way to go. And the one that I've got now is absolutely amazing. So many artists got that as well, and they're super happy. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I'm a wireless fan. I mean, I use a lot of Bishop stuff, but in terms of the actual needles, I'll kind of use a little bit of everything. It's always good to keep it fresh. I think I was speaking to Lewis and talking about how you can get used to a needle and you can move to something else. You think, oh no, that's the one I want to start using now. And it's all much of the same, you know. You make it what it is, you know. Absolutely, and I've had so many artists that I've asked, "Oh, what needle are you using?" and they would let me try it. I would try it. And I'm like, oh my God, that's the best needle I've ever used. Yeah. And then I would use something else. And I'm, oh my God, that's the best needle I've ever used. Yeah. So I think it's definitely more about the machine rather than the needles. Completely agree. I also wanted to ask you, what I try and do is I want to pick a few out from your Instagram. Okay. I want you to tell me the concept behind it and kind of how you created that piece. Cool. So one of the pieces which I think you did quite recently, which I'm quite fascinated by, is this piece. I'm going to show it on the screen. Oh yeah. So where was the concept for that? I mean, the line work is just crazy. Super sharp. What's the placement? Is it in a forearm? It is. Yeah. So what was it? What was it? I presume that wasn't a flash piece because it looks too big to be a flash. It was for a lovely girl who's a painter. Okay. And she wanted, basically my description was a woman with a paintbrush and some planets. That was it. So my first thing was like, how can I smartly include the brush? Because I've never done that before. I like, cool, so it needs a hand to hold the brush. So then if it needs a hand, I need to do it from the side, not from the front. So I was kind of trying to have the strategy first. So I was like, cool, so she needs to be faced like from the side. And I want her to be like very, you know, she's got her eyes closed, she's like kind of like free. And then with the planets, I've kind of, I don't know, I think I've done flash with these little twisty things. There's also a bit of like, there's also like some dot work elements in there coming from the brush, you know. Oh yeah, that was literally when I finished the design, I was like, how cool it would be if like the space was kind of drawn with the brush. I was like, I'm going to do like a little Milky Way coming from the brush as if she's drawn it around herself. Yeah, it's cute. I love it. I love the work. It's so cool. so cool. I guess the only other thing I wanted to ask you really then is, first of all, like plans for the future, where you're going to be
where you are now. I noticed that you did a couple of guest spots last year.
Mm-hmm.
Have you got any more on the way? Is there any conventions? If someone wants to get some work done by you?
I definitely want to travel. I definitely want to do more guest spots. The two that I've done in Nottingham and Newcastle, amazing studios. I loved it. I can take my dog everywhere, which is amazing, and I get to show him the world, which makes me happy. So I definitely want to travel more. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a bit tired of London, just of how busy it is. Everyone's rushing. And like the little bits that I get of like my peace time of nature, I want more of that. So I think my dream is to open my own shop. I don't think I would want a shop that has a lot of tattooists around me. I think I would want to either do it myself or have another station for like guests. So I think that would be my dream, to have it somewhere near my house. I definitely want to live somewhere where there's water, there's loads of nature. Like London just made me fall in love with nature again, because there's so little in here. So I definitely want to move away to something a little bit more calm, like a not as busy. Conventions, I love going to conventions. I love watching people tattoo, and the atmosphere, everything is amazing. But I don't think that I would be able to tattoo with so much going on around me. I'm super lucky that I'm in a private room when it's just me and the client. And
it's just quite, compared to how busy the rest of the shop is, quite zen in here.
It is, and my clients can feel it. Some of them fall asleep straight away. It's so nice, and I do prefer that piece to just a very busy atmosphere. So I think I'll be very pressured, especially there's so many people walking around and watching you and the client, and you want to give them your best work, and at the same time you're talking to people. I don't think that would be for me. I definitely will attend any convention that I can, just as a guest, to see all the artists. But guest spots, absolutely. I want to travel the whole world. When I've got opportunities, I'm gonna go everywhere.
Nice.
Wherever people want me.
Is there anywhere in particular then that you would want to go?
I would love to go to States. I would love to see the tattoo scene in LA, in San Diego. The artists that I follow that work there are insane. I would love to go to see them, to learn. And also it's always been my kind of like a childhood dream to go to America, just live on the coast. So I would definitely say somewhere in America, like Southern America maybe.
Nice.
But I want to go everywhere.
There's so much to do in so little time.
I want to go to Greece. I want to go to Japan. I want to go everywhere, literally everywhere. Wow. I'm going to.
You've got to. Everywhere. That's it. You've just got to take the time, innit?
Absolutely.
You've just got to take the time and get out. It's my 30th next year, so I want to do a road trip West Coast of America.
Amazing.
That's the plan. I want to do that, but then I also really want to do Asia. I've got all of that side to do yet, and I haven't done any of that. I didn't do any backpacking or travelling.
Your whole life.
Yeah, I know. But also, I probably want kids at some point, and it's probably something that I would want to do before I have kids. So I need to get a move on, probably.
Go. Take time off and go.
That's it.
You know, anything can happen. You might not come back.
I know. Crazy. Right, lovely. Well, the only other thing I want to ask you is to leave a question, if you can, for the next guest.
Yes. So I would love, whoever it is, I would love to ask them, what was the specific point that they knew what their style was going to be?
Okay.
Not like, oh, I got into this and that, like the specific point that were like, this is my jam, this is what I want to do. Like,
with their specific style?
Yes.
Okay.
Like, shit, I love that. I'm going to do more of that. I don't want to do anything else. I want to do just that. Like, what made you think that? Like, what was the reason? What was the thought that makes you like, Shit, that's it.
That's a good question.
Thank you.
It's good.
I didn't know how to word it nicely, but
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that's great.
Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast this week. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and the follow button to be notified of every new release wherever you listen to your podcasts. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube as well. I'm Alex Lloyd, and this is the 21st Century Tattoo. Thanks for listening.